Namo Buddhaya, I am Yuvraj Maski. We have a special guest from neighboring country Sri Lanka, Dr. JANAKA Edirisinghe. I heartily welcome you on Bodhi TV, sir.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. And I thank you very much for your time you graced us for this meeting. We are going to talk about Buddhism and some relationship between Nepal and Sri Lanka today, sir. Will you please introduce yourself, sir?
Yes, I am JANAKA Edirisinghe. I hail from the Albert Edirisinghe family. My mother and father both used to visit Lumbini quite often, but my father subsequently was offered by the king to be the honorary consul general for Nepal in Sri Lanka, and he gladly accepted that. And he told me, I was a young man at that time, he said, "Son, I'm only accepting this simply because of this is the land of birth of Buddha." So we all know Siddhartha, Gautam Siddhartha, Prince was born in Lumbini and then moved on to get his enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. First sermon was in Saranath and he passed away in Kushinagar. But Nepal is where he opened his eyes, and as we all know, that has spread all over the universe, and that is our beginning and the closeness to Nepal. And it's amazing that this interview is taking place in this Punya Bhumi, I call it, simply because Park Village was founded by Honorable Karna Sakya, and his statue is also in the back there, and his son Mr. Sunil Sakya is running this with his children. And Sri Lanka bestowed Mr. Karna Sakya as the honorary consul for Sri Lanka in Nepal. So that's how the connection and the beginning comes together.
So it's not your first visit?
Certainly not.
No.
And if you ask me how many times I have visited Nepal, I wouldn't know how to answer that question.
Great to know that, sir. So how is your visit now, sir?
Very good.
Very good.
Every visit has been excellent, and I come with a very big open heart and go even with a bigger spiritual, great feeling from the hospitality and the amazing coming together of this beautiful nation, Nepal.
So it used to be Hindu nation Nepal, sir. Now it is secular nation Nepal. What difference do you find now?
I have absolutely no. I don't call it a Hindu nation. I don't call it a secular nation. I don't call it a Buddhist nation. I don't call it a Islam nation. I don't call it a Christian nation. I call it a place where we all come together in the dhamma, and the dhamma is nothing but the truth. It's a way of life for us to do good, and I will come when we come to the end of it, I will explain how that can be manifested.
So, still beginning, what sufferings, dukkhas did you see around Nepal this time in this visit, sir? Just
being born is dukkha. You don't need to come to Nepal to see dukkha. You don't go to India to see dukkha, or you don't be born in Sri Lanka to see dukkha. Being born is dukkha. So it is Buddha who has explained the path to Nibbana, where there is no return. And that's where we clinch the dukkha and have no return. And that's what I always, with that mind only I come here.
Great, sir. So, will you please tell us about Universal Interfaith Goodwill Movement? What exactly it is, sir?
It's actually, it's not a movement.
Okay.
It's a thought which I and so many others together came about, where we felt the need to get all the different faiths coming together, because we have all faiths have a lot of goodness, and that goodness coming together is the interfaith blessings.
Okay. How long are you, doing any action, sir? Activities?
Here,
in it?
I came to basically get the blessings from the lamas on this great occasion of the New Year being celebrated.
That's right.
And we had a lovely, blessing ceremony, and that's continuing also.
Okay.
This is a place where there is no reason, no underlying mission, nothing. I just come when my heart tells me to go.
So please tell us about your resourceful, full of comparative advantage island country, beautiful country, Sri Lanka, sir. We would like to know about it, where Theravada Buddha was said to be revived.
Actually, we have to be very thankful to, I consider this the Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa is simply Nepal, India, Sri Lanka, almost all the SAARC countries coming together, though they are separated now in different forms, different religions, different what have you, but we were blessed to get the teachings of the Buddha. And thanks to one of the greatest kings from India, King Ashoka, he sent his son, Great Arahat Mihindu, and the daughter, Great Arahat Sangamitta, to pass on the dhamma to Sri Lanka. And from there, I must say, thanks to the continuity of the Buddhist monks who have kept the scriptures in their memory, put it down on ola leaves, and it is all preserved nicely. The Tripitaka is available very readily now. Matter of fact, thanks to the latest technology, it's translated to 40 different languages and available on internet and what have you. So with regarding to the reference and continuity of the Theravada scriptures, it's very readily available now. And you're right, Sri Lanka has taken a leading role, and we continue to proceed in that direction.
What is Dhamma, sir? Please tell us about it in layman's language.
Dhamma to me is the truth. Dhamma to how I see it is, if you ask me, tell me in a layman's language, if you basically live the 5 precepts, which we all know, and that being the guideline, I think we can slowly proceed on to the mainstream. And the mainstream I have written down, because I don't want to make a mistake here. It's called Sabba Papassa Akaranang. It says not to do any evil. Kusalassa Upasampada, to cultivate good. Sachitta Paryodapanang, to purify one's mind. Etang Buddhana Sasanang. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas up to now. And in the future, when Maitri Buddha also comes, the teaching is this, but it will be given in a different format to different people and what have you. But it'll be the continuity of this. It never stops. It's only the goodness of this four lines is what it all coming together.
Why is Dhamma so important, sir?
Because it's a good way of life. A good way of life. Not to harm anybody. Something which you don't want to happen, if you do it to somebody else, it's not good.
It's not
Right? So if you keep that in mind all the time, I think we will all be, good people, blessed people, and walk the path to the nibbana, where there is no return.
That means the so-called development has developed so many scientific things. It is making us so complex. We need Dhamma more and more than before, maybe.
Absolutely.
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 Thank you, sir. So, how did actually Buddhism thrived in Sri Lanka, sir? We wonder.
Yeah. It thrived simply because the heads of state, the kings then, the queens, whoever led the country, not only believed in it, but practiced it.
Right.
So by practicing it, the people follow and the goodness happen. So when, not just namesake, you see, but truly if you're living in the Dhamma, it will naturally trickle down to the countrymen and women.
Great.
So that's, I think, we all know Sri Lanka has gone through some great times, and when you look at those kings who have been ruling at that time, they have practiced the Dhamma, and that is the strength which has gone to the people of the country and the prosperity of the country.
Great. So, that's the strength, sir. So, any weaknesses you want to point of Sri Lanka, sir? Let's do a little bit short analysis.
I knew you will come to that. It's not a case of pointing fingers at the mistakes or the goodness, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, but I think we need to take a lesson. It's a very good time to take a lesson because along with COVID, the whole world was given a lesson.
Definitely.
Then subsequently, we as Sri Lankans faced a huge economic crisis. I don't want to dwell into it, but we have made some major mistakes, and those mistakes come by one word, that is greediness. That is what Buddha has said, don't be, and we have to not be greedy, but live a life and be content with what we have. If we are content with what we have, we are not going to keep looking for more and more. And even if you look for more, it ends up in dukkha. So I know it's easily said than done, but I think we need to all together, not only Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, you can now take it as an example, but actually practice this beautiful Dhamma which is given to us in this nutshell, and go forward and correct our mistakes, which we are, and hopefully, and I'm very, very sure, Sri Lanka will not only come out of the crisis we are in, but be an example to the rest of the world in time to come.
Great, sir. So, beside the challenges, how happy are you with the national gross happiness of Sri Lanka, sir?
I was part and parcel of SARC being formed, thanks to my father being the honorary consul there. We didn't have an embassy for Nepal there at that time, so I participated in most of the initial thrust. and had an opportunity to visit all the countries except Afghanistan, which is, yes and no in the SAARC countries, but all the other SAARC countries I have visited. And with those visits, of course, Nepal have if I say Nepal is not the closest, I'll be lying to you. It is. Having said that, it is I came to Kathmandu and took a flight to Bhutan, and I found an amazing peace there, which I also find in certain places here, but over there, and especially the time I visited, I realized that the king has just stepped down and made a kuti in the back of the palace for him and his wife, and the son was given the ruling. Okay, that's truly giving up things. Yeah. And at the right time. He was still very young.
Yeah.
I think he was in his 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
That's the time I spent some time in the forest and up in the hills with some lamas in meditation. And I found how simple they are.
Oh.
And their simplicity thrives into their happiness. You see? And they are the ones who showed the world that the index of what you call, and just mentioned now, the index
national
of
gross happiness.
national gross happiness.
Yeah.
And from that day, experiencing it, I have gone back. I have all the SAARC country flags, but I have Bhutan's flag and Nepal's flag in a very special place with India, of course, where if you ask where should Sri Lanka be, it is the highest in that happiness is what I like to see. Not in massive buildings and, gross national product. No. Just be happy, and content and on path in the path of the Dhamma.
Great, sir. So, my question again, sir, national gross happiness of Nepalese, how do you see it? How do you find it? Because you know Nepal very well for a long time, sir.
Though I don't know the world reading, to me, very, very close to Bhutan, simply because it's a smiling nation.
Great.
Right? Everywhere you go, that's something even in Sri Lanka, a lot of people will say certain things. Our hospitality and our smiling nation is what we are all about. That cannot be calculated, that cannot be put a figure, but that's always there with the people, which is really nice.
Yeah, great. What is Buddhist education? Let's say we talked about Dhamma, but still I want to know more. What is Buddhist education? Again in layman's words, sir.
Yes. Buddhist education is a nutshell of what we discussed already, but in the practice of the Dhamma, as I said about the Panchasila, I will now basically, again from the stanzas, I'll just mention something.
Please.
So this will, go about how we get to that.
Please.
I think health is the highest profit, contentment the highest of the riches, trusted, wise friend, the highest kinsman, Nibbana is the highest happiness. Okay,
Great.
this is a quotation from the Dhammapada. Yeah. And you asked again, what is the Buddhist education? In my own mind and summarizing some things, I say, all citizens of the universe are one family. Let us respect all religions as we practice the Dhamma. Be simple and be contented.
Great.
Okay. Be the change you wish to see in the universe. May the blessings of all faiths be with you all. Benefit of the Dhamma is immeasurable. Dhamma will protect, the person who practices the Dhamma. So teaching of the Buddha is, if you live in the Dhamma, if you practice the Buddha's teachings, it will protect you by itself.
Okay. So, do you include Buddhist education in school and colleges in Sri Lanka, sir? In Nepal, we have got introductory only, but Panchasila, Ashtasila, let's say, just brief introductory. I think we need more education, some practices, some. Do you have such kind of courses?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
we,
great.
we are blessed. Actually, we have the from childhood days. We can choose whatever religion we belong to. We can go to the Buddhism class, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam. All that can be taken. Then, if you want to further at the after the A levels and university level, you can even take the Buddhist culture, comparative religions like that. And now we have even Buddhist universities where most of the Nepalese monks study in Sri Lanka. I meet a lot of them here.
Yeah.
They speak in Sinhala,
Sinhala.
and they are very, very provision. And I must thank our beginnings to Maitri Swanwahansa, who was ordained in Sri Lanka 55 years ago, and he is now the head of Ananda Kuti and also lives in Lumbini. A very much respected monk, and I really want to thank him and bless him for all what he has done to propagate the Dhamma as well as the friendship between the two countries, Sri Lanka and Nepal.
Great, sir. So again, I would like to add more Buddhist economy education, sir. Not only Buddhist education, but Buddhist economy education. Would you like to say something on it?
I like to tell you that there is an entire sutra on the Buddhist economy.
Great.
I don't want to dwell on it because I am not that knowledgeable and I have never studied that side carefully. But even to the extent of how the banking should be done, how the employee-employee relationships, and also part and parcel of it is a family. When you come to think of the family, it's husband and wife. How you regard and respect the husband, and from wife's side to the husband's side, kids to the parents, parents to the kids. All those are Singalo Vada Sutra.
Oh.
There is a very specific sutra which goes into detail, and I like to mention that but not dwell into that.
Thank you, sir. So, what potential do you see of Nepal, sir? Let's begin from Nepal. We still have to do so many things yet, but what potential do you see in Nepal, sir?
Nepal's potential is the 40 million plus people in this nation. I know some of them have not much of access to lots of things. You and I are blessed. But again, going back to what I said, they are up in the mountains, but very happy.
Very happy.
Whatever circumstances come about, they are a smiling nation, and that is Nepal, and that will be the Nepal's success also, which will come in a time where nobody will predict. These are things which are not going to be predicted.
Right.
They are not going to look at figures and say, look, Nepal is now out of problems, and no, it will just all of a sudden come when the merit, I call it the power of merit. When the merit comes up and manifests, that will be there. And that this is also goes for Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka as well.
And it also goes for all the nations we are talking about.
So, Sri Lanka and Nepal is a long time friend, sir. What potential or what opportunities should we explore more? What do you see, sir, between our friendship?
I actually invite, simply because Nepal is a landlocked country.
Yeah.
We have our flight, Sri Lankan, flying 4 times a week now to Kathmandu from Katnayaka. I think it's a great opportunity for, we can start with the pilgrimages, visiting all the Buddhist
Yeah.
cultural
Sure.
places like Anuradhapura, Kandy, and so on and so forth. And similarly, give the Sri Lankan folks a chance to come to Kathmandu. And they a lot of people come from India, go to Lumbini and go back. But I think it's time has come for them to, either through Buddhaya or when the highway is done. It's only 7 hours now. It takes a little bit more because of the highways are under repair, under construction. But at that point where the beautiful 7 heritages here can be seen and worshipped, because something I let everybody know when people ask me, "Are you a Buddhist?" I say, "Is Buddha actually a Buddhist?" No, he is from a Hindu family, and that Buddhism is only an enlightenment and a way of life. So culturally, we have a lot to do, and at this very important juncture, I like to invite our brothers and sisters from Nepal to really look at Sri Lanka as an investment possibility, an investment opportunity where we could merge the cultures and continue, because they are very honest and very, very, very good, compassionate people.
Okay, I think some of the industrialists have already invested in. That's great, sir.
Yes.
So one more question: how can we live calm, wise, and less stress life, sir? Though it is in Buddhism, but still, from your point of view.
Uh, we mustn't be too attached. It's non-attachment is what we should practice, and while practicing that, don't get too involved in craving for things. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
And if you're let one be happy with one's life, with what they have, and take care of your family, your children, and immediate family, and thus far, and then balance will automatically come, and you won't have that stress. Stress is all brought about yourself. So if you calm your mind, and if your mind is at one pointness, like I finished the stanza just a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
I think that is the way to go forward.
Since you are founder, vice patron of American Alumni Association, also, sir, please would you brief it? What is this about, sir?
Actually, Sri Lanka is celebrating 75 years of diplomacy between America and Sri Lanka, and 70 years of the Fulbright Scholars. Fulbright Scholarship is a scholarship which is long standing and have always helped locals to go to the States, and similarly they send people from their countries, from America to our countries on exchange student basis. And this organization you just asked me, American Alumni Association, we formed 10 of us who got back from the United States after having our education there, thought we have a culture which was inbuilt during university, which we should share,
Yeah.
and actually be more of an ambassador from America to Sri Lanka, and promote American education. And so we formed that 35 years ago, and we have also the American AmCham, the American Sri Lanka Chamber, which is really where the industrialists have come together. And now we formed American Alumni Foundation Trust 5 years ago to to give scholarships and encourage students to go to the States for their higher education. What I like to mention to the Nepalese American graduates is, I think the time has come for you also to form an American Alumni Association of Nepal, and continue those very good dialogues, and you be the ambassadors of America in Nepal. And I hopefully like to get something done on that matter on this visit itself.
Thank you very much, sir, for your great time, great information, for your prayer, and very good heart, sir.
Thank you so much.
We would like to meet you again, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I bless all of you and say thank you to Bodhi channel and for giving me the opportunity to share with you some thoughts in the Dhamma.
Thank you, sir. So we have the very special guest, Dr. JANAKA Edirisinghe from our neighboring great country, Sri Lanka. He is a wise man and who has visited Nepal for Losar. So we had a great time to talk with him and hope to talk with him again in our television. Thank you very much.